By now, many have certainly got their hands on the newest entry in the Gears of War franchise, Gears 5, continuing the story in the action franchise. The stories of these games have always been fraught with dramatic twists and turns, and when all was said and done, by the end of the 5th numbered game, we were left with that same experience, with few questions lingering, but with high stakes for the characters. What have we learned and seen from Gears 5's story? And what can we expect from Gears 6? The game starts out with the Outsider Squad trying to launch a Hammer of Dawn satellite so as to restore the Hammer of Dawn network. This is something they are able to do by the end of the game, despite resistance from Minister Jin, who holds this line due to the wishes of Anya Phoenix, Marcus's deceased wife, and JD's mother. By the end of the game, it will turn out that the Union of Independent Republics, formerly the main political opposition to the COG, were in possession of a rocket with Hammer of Dawn satellites, a secret that was kept from the public. The Hammer of Dawn itself is a weapon that is originally a UIR creation, with its theft by the COG the turning point in the war between the two parties known as the Pendulum Wars. However, after defeating the final boss of the game, the Kraken, the UIR rocket is launched. This game is an important title so far as completely fleshing out Kate's story is concerned. What is previously hinted at in Gears of War 4 is outright confirmed but made more interesting. Not only is Kate of Locust descent, but she was supposed to be the next Locust Queen. The origins of the Locust are such that they start with humans who were greatly exposed to emulsion during the boom of emulsion mining, once the light mass process was perfected so that emulsion could be used for energy. The children of those miners who began to mutate due to the emulsion exposure were the first Locusts. In this game, we meet a scientist, Niles Sampson, who we see as an AI construct, from whom we learn that he was responsible for creating Locust due to his experimentations on humans. Reyna is Queen Mira's daughter. Remember Mira, who died at the end of Gears of War 3, and Reyna, who was given a mercy kill at the end of Gears of War 4? Mira was able to control all of the Locusts, but would wage war on humanity after Reyna was lifted away by Reyna's father. Prior to this sequence, wherein we learn so much about the bloodline as it were, Kate had begun experiencing visions of her uncle Oscar's death, and it is by Marcus's prompting that she goes to Mount Kadar to find answers. What she learns is that by blood, she is to be the next Locust Queen, and had been acutely experiencing her connection to the hive mind, revelations that distress her. Niles is able to separate her from the hive mind, but in doing so, he awakens the consciousness of the deceased Reyna, who had been assimilating with the network prior to her mercy kill. This Reyna that is awakened is not friendly, to say the least. She awakens as the new queen of the Swarm, and with a new powerful leader in tow, control of the Hammer of Dawn is needed now more than ever. The climax of the game takes place in Vazgar, wherein the heroes plan to set up the rocket containing the Hammer of Dawn satellites. After launching the rocket, Minister Jin endeavors to reconnect Kate to the hive mind against her will, as a means of controlling the Swarm, and despite whatever cost it may mean for Kate. The game does see some important deaths, including Lizzie Carmines, who dies after the Hammer of Dawn goes berserk, having been used in a desperate attempt to hold off Swarm forces in a defense mission earlier in the game. It also sees the death of Niles and JD, or Del. What happens toward the end of the game is that Queen Reyna tails the heroes as they are trying to set up beacons for the Hammer of Dawn, and eventually captures both JD and Del. You, as Kate, are able to choose one to save, with Queen Reyna killing the other. The game doesn't conclusively say who lives or dies, so we will have to wait and see in Gears 6 which of the two survived. Depending on who you save, you will see different cutscenes afterwards. If JD dies, we will see Del greatly distraught, and a scene where Kate notifies Marcus about his son's death. Marcus will mourn the loss of his son, but will push through, saying that we're not done. And if Del dies, we see the squad cope with the loss, and JD dealing with the loss of his friend and his own survivor's guilt, with Marcus and JD doing their best to savor the fact that both are alive. And that concludes our video discussing the Gears 5 ending. The story of Kate has evolved significantly, and other characters' trajectories have changed irrevocably. Minister Jin, once friendly, is now placed again as opposition. After impeding progress of the restoration of the Hammer of Dawn network, she also endeavors to reconnect Kate to the hive mind against her will, even if as a bid to control the Locust and despite motives motives to protect humanity. The upper echelons of the political class of the cog tend to have problems actually protecting the people they're supposed to serve. While Jin ends up not being an exception thus far to this idea, it remains to be seen if she will serve a story role similar to Richard Prescott or not. It will also be interesting to see what role the Hammer of Dawn will serve in the next game with the satellite rocket being launched. While a powerful weapon, it often is the case that its use just never goes cleanly according to the purpose of human defense. In Gear 6, we may see more of 5's, since we will now be short one squad member. Tell us what you think about the story of Gears 5. Who did you decide to save, or who would you decide to save between JD or Dell? Who do you expect will be alive when Gear 6 rolls around? It appears Queen Reyna will take on the same role that Queen Mira did in the story, but it seems difficult to believe that the storytellers will have her serve such a role for as long as Mira did when she was alive. Mira being as present for as long as she was is attributable to the fact that we had to learn about who she was incrementally throughout the games, and by the time we discovered the truth about her and the Locust, it was time for her to make her exit. Meanwhile, Reyna as queen is something of the trade made for Kate's restored humanity, even if Kate will always be Locust by blood. In any case, we as the audience knew everything about Reyna as a character before she died. What remains is simply her execution, along with the Swarm, and with the Hammer of Dawn, the Swarm should have a lot to worry about. But to go back to Kate, what do you think of Kate as a protagonist? Of course, players assume the role of Kate in this game, but do you find yourself more interested in watching the actions of Kate or Marcus? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, thanks for watching. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, please hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to switch on the notifications bell icon next to it. That way you'll never miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching.